Hello YouTube, this is the D.B.T Gamer Show, episode 72, part 3. Today I'm reviewing Banjo Kazooie, GRUNTY'S Revenge on the Game Boy Advance. Now if you haven't watched part 1 or 2 yet, you've missed absolutely loads. I've already covered the story, the graphics, the controls, the music, gameplay, and some of the good stuff in part 1. In part 2, I also covered several other good things about this game, levels, bosses, all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, or part 2, you've missed absolutely loads. I do urge you to watch those parts before you watch this part, so you don't get confused. Now, let's pick up where I left off. I left off after explaining some of the levels in this game. In this game, 6 levels in total. Now in part 2 I already showed you every level in the game. I already talked about how good the stages were. Okay, next let's go to the quizzes. Well, the quizzes in the Banjo Kazooie games have always been a massive challenge. At the end of every Banjo Kazooie game I've ever played, it's always been a giant quiz that Gruntilla puts on to quiz your knowledge and how well you've been paying attention to the game and obviously the storyline and the characters. And the quiz in this game is extremely hard and it can be a real bitch to pass, especially when she asks you to beat certain mini-games that are really difficult in the game itself. But even though the quiz is really hard, it's still quite a lot of fun to play. Now that's all the good stuff I can really think about this game. Let's go to the bad stuff. Okay. Now before going to the bad stuff, there's one thing I got to mention about this game and the good stuff. Now one of the best things about this game is that it's portable. This is the very first portable Banjo game, and it was great to be able to play Banjo on the go, in your car, on the bus, and take it to school and play with your friends and stuff. That was another good thing about this game that I just forgot to mention, but I'll mention it now. Now, let's go to the bad stuff. Now, the bad stuff about Banjo Kazooie GRUNTY'S Revenge, I only really have 2 complaints about this game. The first complaint I have, you can't do certain things that you could do in the N64 version. Now, the N64 version of Banjo Kazooie GRUNTY'S Revenge was never actually released. It was only rumoured on the internet and made into a prototype. And eventually they finished and put it on the Game Boy Advance. Now, a couple of things that they didn't put in the game was the flight pad. And it was a kind of a disappointment for me, because I love the flying moves in Banjo Kazooie games, and it's a very big shame that the flying moves aren't in GRUNTY'S Revenge. So that was kind of a disappointment for me. My second complaint was the quizzes. The quizzes, although they were a lot of fun to do, some of the questions were quite difficult, and sometimes when you're doing the quiz, the game picks these extremely hard mini-games which just drain your health. And as soon as you finish with the quiz, you have to fight the last boss, Gruntilla. And if those mini-games have drained all your health, you're gonna die. So the quiz, even though it's really good, it can be a real bitch to beat. So there are my only 2 complaints about the game. Anyway, let's rate Banjo Kazooie GRUNTY'S Revenge. I gave Banjo Kazooie GRUNTY'S Revenge a very good score of 4 out of 5. So it's a really good Banjo Kazooie game, and I definitely suggest you play it and buy it. You will not be disappointed. It's got all the classic Banjo stuff in that everybody loves about Banjo Kazooie. So it gets a 4 out of 5, and I definitely suggest you play it. It's quite easy to get hold of these days. You can probably pick it up for less than a tenner on eBay and Amazon.co.uk. Now my next video will be won't be a game review. It'll be a D.B.T Gamer special. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the new Banjo game, Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, on the Xbox 360. So I'm going to give you my opinions and what I think that game's going to be like, and tell you my thoughts on whether it's be good or not. So please be sure to tune in for that D.B.T Gamer Show special, because I've put quite a lot of work into that. But I'll save that for next time, YouTube. Until then, bye bye.